Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Let's go build something cool. All right, well, we've gone and picked up Steven's Trans Am. This car has like 38,000 miles on it or something. I don't know. We'll have to get the battery hooked up and I'll tell you exactly what it is. But it ain't a lot. It ain't a lot at all. And it is probably one of the cleanest examples of a 4th gen that you would find with all of its period correct mods. So let's jump in the Wayback Machine and let's take you back to 2001, 2002, 2003 in the era of the 4th gen F-body. A lot of people are gonna call these a catfish. Not this car, the Camaro was the catfish, but even then, catfish was a derogatory term that the Trans Am guys talked about to the Camaro guys. But it's kind of like being in rival services in the military. Isn't that right, Dan?
Yep.
Yep. So this car has been sitting for 10-ish plus years. Let's see, it's 2024. Yeah, it's been a minute. He said he registered at least once or twice without actually driving it. So there's that. According to our owner, transmission started making some noise, he thinks. There is some signs of leakage. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But we gotta get to work on this thing, so let's do our quick walkthrough because I gotta go run an errand and we're gonna start yanking the fuel tank out of it because you know this gas, you know, it'd be good for varnishing wood, not so much for propelling down the road. All right, the Volant twin filter setup with all the bird shenanigans. This was pretty low key at the time. Like, this wasn't the super popular setup. A lot of guys were running the K&N with the big oval setup, and then there was a thing called the Blackwing that the Corvette had, and they made a ram air version. So inside the nostrils, there's actually baffles that keep water from coming straight through. You can knock those out if you're not driving your car in the rain and get a little ram air effect. I mean, you get a little ram air effect anyway, but it worked. Let's look at some period correct mods. Got the long tubes hiding down in here. Ceramic coated. These are probably Cooks, if I had to guess, from what I remember. Another thing I'm pretty sure this car's got is the Shaner S2 ported throttle body. We'll take a look at that when we get a chance. There was a guy back in the day named Mark Shaner, and he was on the forums, as we all were. I'm gonna run that up. And Mark used to hand port throttle bodies. He was like a semi-retired guy, and he used to hand port throttle bodies for guys with like cam and header and head cars. Anyways, they made good power. I put one on my 97 V6 truck. We did one for it just to see what would happen, and I picked up 1.2 seconds in the quarter mile.
You better slow down, young fella.
That's with no tuning. That's just zipping around the parking lot a couple of times. 1.2 seconds on a ported throttle body. These cars, nobody made throttle bodies at the time. Right now, you can buy, you know, you can get on Summit and buy you a 102 millimeter throttle body. But, you know, that wasn't possible back then. So we had to get creative. There was no Amazon. Looking underneath, we're just gonna go like Grand Thumb and go tip to butt. Eibach lowering coils on the original Decarbons. These shocks were crap when they were new. The Bilstein was the way. Bilstein probably still the way, unless we go to something crazier, but for Steven and his usage, we're just gonna put some Bilsteins on there. Of course, we got the long tube headers hanging way low. Of course, got that curb rash, or that speed bump rash. O2 simulators plugged in. What's up? No cats. Got the tune deleted. And this one has true dual exhaust, which I believe our homeboy Mike Hutto did this one, if I'm not mistaken. Hutto, jump in the comments and tell me, did you do this one? I'm pretty sure you did. This looks like your handiwork. It's pretty decent. He used to do these in a 2-car garage. Running back here, of course, T56, 6-speed manual, factory Hurst shifter. And as you can tell, we got a little bit of leakage at the tail shaft. It doesn't look like much. I don't know if that's really the source of the noise, but we'll get to that point. Rolling on back, you can see how tight the clearance is. That's at full droop, so not a big deal. These are, I believe, Moroso spiral mufflers, if I'm not mistaken. That's what we used to run a lot of, or Spintex. They're not just glass packs. They definitely sound a lot better than glass packs. And then back here is where most of the activity's happening, because traction is a thing. Nitto NT555 drag radials, 275 4017. Yep, that's it. Twas the style at the time. Of course, you got to have them matching fronts, but not drag radials unless you're an autocrosser, like some of them other guys that we used to run around with. This is a big thing for traction. When you've lowered the car, the lower trailing arms get out of parallel with the ground, and they actually get to the point where they're running uphill, which is not the best. And so what you do is you add these drop links depending upon how low the car is, and you can tune it depending upon how the car hooks. Some guys used to run one side in one hole and one side in the other hole, and then the helper bags weren't as much of a thing. So I mean, there were dudes that were shoving a basketball, like a pee-wee football, inside the coil and then adjusting the air pressure in it to try to get this right rear to hook. Once you've lowered the car, you gotta have the adjustable panhard rod. This is the double adjustable version with rubber bushings for NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. And of course, every T-top car's gotta have subframe connectors. So those are tied in. That well could use a little love. That's not. We might clean that up a little bit. And it blew through right there. Some undercut and it blew through. So we might box that in a little bit better. But they do add a huge amount of stiffness to the chassis. Of course, ties in, you know, through the rear lower control arm. First things first, Nolan is gonna get the gas tank out of this puppy, which is located up here, because we got to see how funky it is. Oh, the good news is it's a plastic tank, so we may not have to buy a fuel tank.
Whoa. Yeah.
Pinion sealed, definitely leaking. Tell how dirty the diff is. I don't know if he wants to do a re-gear or not. We'll see. The hot setup back in the day was to take the 342 manual transmission rear ends and put those in the automatics, and then take the 323 automatic rear ends and swap them out to 373s with a True Track. 'Twas the style at the time. All right, guys, this is your Wayback Machine for 2002-ish, and we got a cool car. We're gonna get this thing rolling. We're gonna get this thing running, and we appreciate you guys sticking along. Let's get to work.
All right, so the fuel pump is out, and I believe we'll probably need a new one. The gas is pretty old, and one of the little lines in here snapped like it was nothing.
All right, well, it's like 14 degrees outside, and we're back on Stevens Trans Am. It's got fluids, and training fluid's been replaced, and the coolant's been flushed, and we've resealed the diff, and we've got fresh oil in it, and we've looked it all over, and a new fuel pump, and all that business is back in. And now what we're gonna do is we have pulled the fuel pump relay right here, this guy, that one. The reason we've done that is because we want to crank it until we see oil pressure on the gauge. Moved a little bit. Okay, so we got some flow now. All right, cycle the key. See how this puppy sounds. Go ahead. Got oil pressure? All right. For the first time in a very, very, very long time, it's alive.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
We're gonna check the oil, make sure we got enough in it, which we should, but you know, we're gonna check it. We're gonna Check the coolant.
Yeah.
To the left. We're gonna replace a headlight gear. We also got to put window motors in it, and we got to put some fluid in the diff. We're a little low. We ran out, so we got to put another little bit in there. And then we need to take these 15-year-old drag radials and turn them into smoke. All right, so Stevie's car is up and rolling. We still got a few things left to do, but today is a special day. It's actually our open house and my birthday party that this is our second year in a row. Be sure to join us next year, because if you're seeing this now, obviously you've missed it. Steven, you have not driven this car since 08?
Sure.
Roughly?
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly. All right.
Can't remember that long.
All right. Thank you so much for joining. We sure appreciate you. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.